When you woke up this morning, did you have a reason to? Not an alarm, not a job you have to drag yourself to, a real reason, a genuine pull, a quiet sense of purpose waiting for you the second you open your eyes. For a lot of us, that answer isn't clear. We get caught up in endless to-do lists and the daily grind. And somewhere in the noise, the why gets lost. But on one small island in Japan, people seem to have cracked it. They live longer than almost anyone on Earth. And their secret isn't a diet, or money, or hustle. It's one word: Ikigai. Welcome back to Morning Mind Feed. Today we're opening Ikigai by Héctor García and Francesc Miralles. Think of me as a thoughtful friend sitting right here with you, and by the end of this video, you'll know what gives a life meaning, why some people stay vibrant into their 90s, and how to start building that same purpose today, right where you are. So slow down with me for a few minutes. Let's talk about how to live not just longer, but more fully. Here's what makes Ikigai different. It's not asking you to reinvent yourself or escape to a mountaintop. It says the opposite. The thing you're looking for is probably already within reach, hidden in your ordinary days, in small habits, meaningful work, the people around you, and the simple act of paying attention. The authors went searching for the world's longest living people and asked one question: what are they doing right? Let's walk through the answers. Start with the word itself. Ikigai roughly means a reason to live, or simpler, a reason to get up in the morning. And notice what it's not. Here in the West, we stress ourselves out chasing one true passion, some big abstract goal. But Ikigai isn't grand or dramatic. For one person, it's raising their kids. For another, it's gardening or teaching or slowly mastering a craft. It's deeply personal, and it builds quietly, over time. What's brilliant about it is that it takes the mystery out of purpose and turns it into a practical map. Picture 4 circles. What you love, the things that naturally energize you. What you're good at, your talents, and the skills you've practiced. What the world needs, where you can contribute. And what you can be paid for, because we all need a livelihood. Your Ikigai sits right where all 4 overlap, and it's a great lens for where you are right now. Picture a highly paid corporate worker, great at the job, good money, but no meaning and no love for it. They feel empty. Now picture a passionate but starving artist, totally energized by the work, but financially unstable and stressed all the time. When even one circle is missing, life starts to feel off balance. But here's the reassuring part. You don't need a perfect score in every area. Think of your life like a hanging mobile. Pull too hard on one side, and the whole thing tilts. You just need enough overlap, with gentle adjustments over time, to sustain both your inner life and your outer life. We're aiming for harmony, not perfection. So how do you actually find that harmony? Not by quitting your job tomorrow. It starts with some honest, quiet self-reflection. 3 questions. First, what brings me joy without effort? Think about where you naturally drift in your free time. Getting lost in a good book, organizing a messy room until it feels calm, slowly cooking a warm meal. And the answer doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to be true to you. Second, when do I feel most useful? Feeling useful is a core human need. We're wired to want to help. For one person, that's raising a family. For another, it's teaching a skill, working in a community garden, or just being a really good listener. It doesn't have to be world-changing, it just has to brighten someone's day. And third, which activities make time disappear? Those moments when you're so absorbed that hours feel like minutes. Psychologists call that a flow state, and it's a massive clue. Hold on to that one, because we're coming back to it. It points straight at your Ikigai. So the lesson here is, Ikigai isn't a destination you chase. It's an alignment you uncover by staying close to those 3 honest questions. So let's see this in action. We're heading to Ojimi, a village on the Japanese island of Okinawa. It's famous as the village of longevity, with one of the highest numbers of healthy 100-year-olds anywhere on Earth. But the numbers aren't even the best part. It's the spirit. There, age isn't seen as decline. It's seen as deepening. Think how revolutionary that is, compared to how we often fear getting older. Walk through Ogimi and you'll find 90-year-olds working their fields, chatting with neighbors, cooking for gatherings. And these aren't just chores. They join festivals, they garden, they mentor the younger generation. Activity isn't a burden, it's connection, contribution, and real joy. There's no retirement in the traditional sense, no cultural script telling them to fade into isolation. As long as they can move and contribute, they do, whether that's tending a garden, caring for great-grandchildren, or leading a calligraphy class. These elders aren't just surviving, they're thriving, with twinkling eyes, strong hands, and open hearts. So the lesson here is, long life in Okinawa isn't luck or genes. It's a lifestyle built slowly, one choice at a time, surrounded by community and driven by intention. So let's get into those choices. The first is movement, but not the kind you're picturing. Forget the intimidating, sweaty 45-minute workout. In the longest living cultures, activity is just woven into daily life. Sweeping the porch, walking to the market, practicing a craft. These aren't mindless chores. They're rituals that give the day structure, reinforce who you are, and hand you a reason to engage with the world every morning. And the science is striking. Retiring early and then sitting still in prolonged inactivity actually speeds up physical and mental decline. Muscles weaken, mental sharpness fades. But purposeful activity protects you. A daily walk, growing vegetables, fixing a bicycle preserves your vitality far better than kicking back in a recliner. That's why so many people in Japan keep working in some form after retiring, not for the paycheck, but to stay connected. A former teacher tutors neighborhood kids. A retired farmer grows herbs for a local shop. It keeps their identity intact. And it's all about balance. Doing too much leads to burnout, but doing nothing invites stagnation. The Okinawan rhythm is the perfect example. Rise early, tend the plants, visit neighbors, rest in between. Notice the pause, but never prolonged emptiness. Just a steady rhythm, rising with the sun. So the lesson here is, staying active isn't resisting age, it's responding to it gracefully. Movement tied to purpose becomes a quiet form of resilience, a daily way of saying, I'm still here and I still matter. That's our internal world. Now the external one, connection. In Okinawa, community isn't a vague concept, it's a lived experience. And at the heart of it is a tradition called moai. A moai is a small, dedicated group of friends who commit to supporting each other for life, emotionally, socially, even financially. Often it's formed by parents when the kids are young, and over the decades, that little playgroup deepens into a literal second family. They meet often, sometimes every single day. And these aren't formal, stressful events, they're shared meals, casual chats under a tree, walks together. The point isn't to be productive or solve problems. It's presence, just being there. And that steady presence builds a huge safety net of trust. When someone gets sick or hits a rough patch, the moai steps up with real solidarity. Elders there rarely, if ever, feel truly alone. And this changes your body. In our modern world, isolation is a quiet, brutal epidemic that raises the risk of cognitive decline and early death. But connection, is actual medicine. Meaningful interaction releases oxytocin, which lowers stress. It regulates inflammation, lowers blood pressure, even improves your immune function. Being part of a community is a daily health practice. And we see this across the blue zones. In Sardinia, Italy, elders gather every day in the town square to play cards and tell stories. In Nicoya, Costa Rica, neighbors help each other harvest crops and celebrate birthdays. The secret isn't grand gestures, it's the consistent, small act of showing up. So the lesson here is, diet and exercise alone aren't enough. In the cultures that live longest, no one grows old alone. They grow old together. Now, food. The traditional Okinawan plate is mostly plants and largely unchanged for generations. Colorful, nutrient-dense vegetables, bitter melon, sweet potato, daikon radish, seaweed dominate the plate. Protein comes mostly from gentle plant sources like tofu and miso, with the occasional piece of fish. Sugar and red meat are rare treats, not daily staples. Small portions, high nutrition. This isn't a fad diet, it's a whole culture of nourishment. But here's the practice that stands out: hara hachi bu. They recite it before meals, almost like a blessing, a mindful pause around one number, 80%. The rule is simple. Stop eating when you're 80% full. We've all finished a fast meal only to feel painfully stuffed 10 minutes later. That's a biological lag. Your stomach needs time to tell your brain it's full. So stop just short, eat slowly, and you skip that heavy, bloated feeling completely. And the science backs it up. Mild caloric restriction, eating nutrient-dense food without going hungry, is linked to fewer age-related diseases and a longer life. It lowers inflammation, improves how you handle insulin, and slows cellular aging. It's basically preventive medicine, one simple meal at a time. But it's not only what they eat, it's how. Contrast the rushed modern way, dinner in front of a screen, fast food in the car, where food is just fuel. The Okinawan way is slower and shared, with real gratitude for the meal, the hands that made it, the life behind it. That turns eating into an act of care and feeds your emotional well-being too. So the lesson here is, eating light doesn't mean deprivation. It means clarity. Vegetables over meat, tea over soda, awareness over autopilot. Remember that flow state I asked you to hold on to? Here it is. There's a kind of focus that feels completely effortless, yet totally absorbing. The outside world fades away. The researcher Csikszentmihalyi described flow as being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. In flow, hours pass like minutes and your attention narrows to a single point. But flow isn't ease, and it isn't passively watching TV. It's a sweet spot between two uncomfortable extremes. Too easy, and you get bored and disengage. Too hard, and you're overwhelmed, anxious, and you shut down. Flow happens in the quiet middle, when a task stretches your skills just enough to stay interesting, but not so much that you give up. That's when we come alive, and it connects straight back to Ikigai. The elders of Okinawa find their purpose not in grand spiritual quests, but in the repeated daily joy of doing simple things well, losing track of time, weaving cloth, gardening, preparing food. Flow grows from skill, from things we've patiently learned to do well. But modern life constantly fragments our attention with notifications and manufactured urgency. So to find flow, you have to fiercely protect your focus. So the lesson here is, watch for when time disappears. The work that leaves you energized instead of drained, that takes real effort but never feels like a chore. Pay close attention to that. It's pointing straight at your Ikigai. None of this means life is easy. Many of Okinawa's 100-year-olds lived through war and poverty. Their secret isn't a lack of hardship, it's mental flexibility. Instead of staying rigid and trying not to break, they adapt. They bend with the wind. They accept that life comes in seasons, adjust their routines, and find a new balance. It's rooted in a quiet stoicism, putting all your energy into what you can control, your thoughts, choices, and actions, and accepting what you can't. In Okinawan culture, that shows up as calm perseverance and quiet dignity, even in a setback. And purpose deepens resilience. When you're going through a hard time, a reason to get up gives your obstacles context. The burden doesn't vanish, but it becomes bearable. Small responsibilities, a garden, a meal to cook, grandchildren to guide, act as emotional anchors that remind you your presence still matters. There's a word for this from the writer Nassim Taleb, anti-fragile. Some things don't just survive a shock, they get stronger because of it. A truly resilient mind is like that. It doesn't just shield against stress, it learns from it, turning challenges into reflection, refinement, and gratitude. So the lesson here is, those who thrive into old age share one trait: a deep trust in their ability to meet life exactly as it is, not as they wish it were. They bend, they learn, and they grow stronger. And that brings us to the gentlest lesson: slowing down. Think about our modern rush, a blur of deadlines and constant stimulation, disconnected from the why behind it all. The Okinawan pace is the opposite. Time is allowed to stretch and breathe. It's gentle, intentional, fully anchored in the present. You see it in their daily rituals, simple things: greeting the sunrise, preparing a meal with care instead of microwaving something on the way out the door, watering the plants, chatting with a neighbor over the fence. Each one is a gentle pause. They're not trivial. They're the actual texture of a life well lived. And simplicity is key. Simplicity isn't scarcity, it's clarity. Fewer possessions, fewer distractions, fewer pointless obligations, and you clear the clutter from your mind, leaving open space for reflection, gratitude, and real joy. Slowing down isn't laziness, and it isn't doing less. It's being fully present with what you're already doing. A chore done with care becomes a kind of meditation. And in that stillness, your Ikigai quietly reveals itself, not as a distant goal to chase, but as something already there, waiting for you to notice it. So let's zoom out and see the whole map of Ikigai, because it's really one connected picture. It starts with those 4 overlapping circles: what do you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. The people of Okinawa show us how to live it. They stay gently active and never truly retire. They build a lifelong moai, a community. They eat light and mindfully, stopping at 80%. They seek flow in work they care about. They meet hardship with anti-fragile resilience. And they slow down enough to savor it all. And here's the crucial point: living your Ikigai doesn't mean overhauling your whole life overnight. Honestly, don't try to. A long, happy life isn't one dramatic decision. It's small, intentional choices repeated every single day in connection with the people around you. It's gentle alignment, making your daily habits reflect your deepest values. Meaning grows in layers, built patiently through how you show up, what you nurture, and what you love. So what can you do today? Just a few small things. 1. Ask yourself, when do I feel most alive? When does time disappear? Write it down. That's your trail toward your Ikigai. 2. Add one small piece of purposeful movement. A walk, a plant, something with your hands. 3. Reach out to your people. Call a friend. Share a real meal. Start your own moai. Who can you call right now? And 4. At your next meal, slow down and stop at about 80% full. Notice how different it feels. Here's the heart of this book. You don't have to find your whole purpose at once. You just have to stay close to the questions that matter and let your days be shaped by attention instead of urgency. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, see if you can name your reason. It might be smaller and quieter than you expect. And that's exactly the point. If this gave you something to think about, hit like and subscribe to Morning Mind Feed, because next time we're opening another book that'll change how you see your days. Until then, slow down, stay close to what you love, and go find your joyful reason to get up in the morning.